Hey, greetings all. I'm Dudley, aka Gunner, from my time in the Marine Corps as a Chief Warrant Officer, and this is Gunner's Range. Well, today I was looking through the internet articles every day, as I do every day, especially since the election, because I just love to see what the liberal media is doing these days. And sure enough, you don't have to look long. And what do we see in the paper today or in the internet? Anyway, there's an article saying that Trump's pick for SecDef, Pete Hegseth, was flagged as being a possible insider threat in 2021 because he has a tattoo on his bicep which says Deus vult. That's Latin. It means God wills. Now, it's true that tattoo has been associated with some white supremacist groups. But Pete Hegseth is a decorated veteran and has never had any problems in his record at all. Now, I have a tattoo on my shoulder that says USMC, which some people like to translate as being Uncle Sam's misguided children. And maybe we are. Be that as it may, does that make me a baby killer or an insider threat to democracy or the Pentagon? Hardly. Yes, maybe he's got a tattoo. It's controversial. But, I'm also a Christian, and I believe God wills. Does that make me an insider threat to the United States? No. The truth of the matter is, the real insider threat, if you will, is the Pentagon itself. The only threat Pete Hegseth is to the Pentagon is the fact that he's going to shake things up, and we can talk about why. So, is Pete Hegseth an insider threat to the Pentagon? You better believe it. And there's some good reasons for it. He wants to shake things up. Let me give you an example. In World War II, the United States had 17 million people in uniform. And the total number of flag officers, that's generals and admirals, for 17 million military members, they don't have an exact count, but it goes somewhere from 450 to 650. So I'll go with the upper end. Let's say 650. 650 flag officers for 17 million members of the military. You want to guess how many flag officers there are today? If you guessed more than that, you'd be right. The latest count on our military with flag officers, with a military which is much smaller, nowhere even near 17 million. The closest count is approximately 900. So, in a military where we have maybe 1/10 of the number of members we had in World War II, we have about 40% again as many flag officers. Yes, that's a problem. That's people like to talk about, as we did when in my 2 tours, mission creep. You go in with one thing and it ends up becoming something else. Well, this is grade creep. And because the Pentagon's a bureaucracy, like any bureaucracy, it feeds on itself and it wants to make itself bigger and better, more powerful. So Pete Hegseth says, oh no. How about no? And he's going to shake it up. And yeah, he's talking about purging generals. And let's talk about that purging generals. I've seen some of our media outlets who talk about, well, that's terrible. He wants to come in and purge generals. Well, duh. The President of the United States can purge generals anytime he wishes. And I'll give you the best example. The best example you could ever have was with a Democrat. Harry Truman fired Doug MacArthur in Korea because MacArthur wanted to nuke the Chinese. So can the president, I mean, after all, isn't this a big deal? They make a big deal about the military supposed to be run by civilians. Okay. If the military is run by a civilian, your boss is a civilian, he can fire you. So this thing about, well, he just wants to fire and get back. No, he just wants to get the number down from 900. Personally, if it was up to me, I think that the 450 might be about right for the number of flag officers in our military today, based on the number of service members and their current duties and activities. So the question becomes, well, what could he possibly do? Well, you know what? If he cut the number of generals by a third, I think that'd be a good start. Because the fact of the matter is that today you have junior officers doing things that senior enlisted used to do. And it's ridiculous. That's grave creep. So all these people, the bureaucracy feeds on itself and it wants to continue. And if we left it up to the Pentagon, 3 or 4 years down the road, there'd be 1,000 flag officers, because bureaucracy is always going to try to expand. So the real reason this article came out is because, the liberals, the Dems, they want to try and derail Trump's pick and anything he wants to do. What they keep forgetting, however, is the people of the United States have given Donald Trump a mandate. He received the most votes by any Republican since Ronald Reagan. That's a mandate. He won the popular vote. He basically blew Kamala Harris out of the water. The people in this country want to change. And I'd love to see a change in the Pentagon. As a retired warrant officer, I'd love to see a change in the Pentagon. I think it's long overdue. We've seen too many of these people out, especially considering looking back at Donald Trump's last term. One of the things under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, an officer can be held accountable for speaking against the president because of the oath he took. And the president is indeed the head of the military. And to me, one of the guys who should have been fired, Miley or Millie, whatever his name. Point is, you don't go out and purposely talk about the man who is president. Even more so, I consider Millie to be a traitor. Why? Because he called the head of the Chinese military and said, hey, don't worry, if we're going to nuke you, I'll give you a call. Who does that? What country is not right mind is going to give the other guy a call if we're going to nuke him? Which just shows how bad things have gotten in the Pentagon. The threat is not Pete Hegseth. The threat is the Pentagon itself. Okay, well, now I better go because I'm really getting fired up. Anyway, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed, got something out of this. Happy Thanksgiving and have some good holidays. I'm out.